We will prove by clear and convincing evidence Zach Adams was actually innocent of these charges.
Zachary Adams is serving life for the rape and murder of Holly Bobo, but he wants a new trial and he's back in court fighting for it. I go through the arguments his lawyers are making and why prosecutors say he has no case.
And I'm not even sure I can count 10, maybe more people who took that stand under oath and told the jury what the defendant said, what they heard him say about the kidnapping, rape, and murder of Holly Bobo.
Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Zach Adams says he deserves a new trial in Tennessee for the rape and murder of Holly Bobo. Adams is serving life in prison without parole for the crimes. Just a little background here. Holly Bobo vanished on April 13th, 2011 from her home in Darden, Tennessee. Darden is a small town. It's about an hour and 40-minute drive southwest of Nashville. People searched tirelessly for Holly. This was not like her to go missing. She was a nursing student, a responsible young woman, a pretty, petite blonde. Sadly, there was no sign of Holly until 2014 when her skeletal remains were found. Zach Adams was arrested and charged with kidnapping, raping, and murdering Holly Bobo. His brother Dylan accepted an Alford plea, meaning he maintained his innocence while acknowledging there was enough evidence to convict him. Dylan told investigators that his brother Zach forced him to rape Holly Bobo. More on that in a bit. Another man, Jason Autry, testified against Zach Adams at trial. He made a deal with prosecutors to save his own skin. Autry testified that he acted as a lookout when Zach Adams shot and killed Holly Bobo under a bridge after she'd been raped. Autry, according to the Associated Press, told the jury, quote, "It sounded like boom, boom, boom underneath the bridge. It was just one shot, but it echoed. Birds went everywhere, all up under that bridge. Then just dead silence for just a second." Jason Autry's testimony helped convict Zach Adams of Holly Bobo's kidnapping, rape, and murder. But now he's recanted that testimony. He says he made it all up with the help of his lawyer, but he's not testifying at this new hearing. So Zach Adams was back in court last week for this hearing as his attorney, Douglas Bates, brought up a number of issues, including a piece of video from a BP that they say shows Adams at the time of the crime.
We will prove by clear and convincing evidence Zach Adams was actually innocent of these charges. That's the effect that the video's final production to us has shown. It also showed other problems inherent in the prosecution of this case that we've properly laid out in the petition that's amended. It is necessary to prove to the court, and this evidence came to us in a way as it did that showed this amendment is necessary. I think it's helpful to the court to lay out the facts and how it's relevant. Although, to be fair, paragraph 35 acknowledged this was going to be an issue. And I have followed back up, and that's the purpose of this amended pleading.
Bates said Adams' trial attorney couldn't open the video, but prosecutors on the Bobo case poured cold water on that claim that the video actually helped Zach Adams' defense.
That this hard drive containing the ATM video was turned over to Jennifer Thompson by the state on June 15th of 2015. It is disingenuous at best and misleading at worst to call this ATM video exculpatory. It is a ATM video taken at on April 13th of 2011 at 11:12 a.m. It shows a truck. Judge, it's our position that this video image is a blurry video. It shows a truck. There's no one that can be identified that it was by industry. And neither the state nor the defense utilized this video at trial.
Our content shows just how important personal safety is, and that's especially true when it comes to protecting your privacy online. You would be absolutely shocked at how much of your personal information is out there, like your address and your phone number. Ever wonder why you get so many spam calls and emails? That's because this information is all public. That's where our sponsor, Incogni, comes in. It's a service that helps you take control of your online privacy by removing your personal data from data brokers. Those are huge companies that sell and trade your info without your permission. Incogni actually found more than 50 brokers with my information, and here's the kicker. These data brokers have to remove you from their database if you ask them to. Now, you're probably thinking, Angenette, who in the heck has time to contact a data broker? Well, that again is where Incogni comes in. They contact those companies for you to get your online safety back. You don't have to do a thing, and then they alert you after the request has been completed. After signing up, I get virtually no spam, so I highly recommend giving Incogni a try. Right now, anyone who uses the code CRIMEFIX at incogni.com/crimefix gets 60% off. That's code CRIMEFIX at incogni.com/crimefix for 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Then Zach Adams' attorney, Douglas Bates, turned his attention to Jason Autry, the state's star witness at trial.
Autry's statements throughout the entire trial, the entire investigation was he's 100% innocent. Mr. Scholl said on the outside the courtroom in Decaturville, our client didn't kidnap anyone, didn't rape anyone, didn't murder anyone. He's prosecuted under the death penalty. He fabricates a story to get out of the death penalty. When he pleads out, the state says his testimony answered many factual questions left open by our investigation.
Jason Autry was certainly a valuable witness to the prosecution at trial since he was an eyewitness and a co-conspirator. But the prosecution argues his value is being oversold by the defense. Autry recanted his testimony in a videotaped statement to a woman named Dr. Katie Spirko, who's become a controversial figure in this case. She interviewed Autry behind prison walls, and that videotaped statement was featured on an episode of 2020. But the prosecution says at Zach Adams' trial, there were more than 60 witnesses who testified, and the jury saw hundreds of pieces of evidence. Here's Assistant District Attorney Amy Wyrick.
And what Mr. Bates is leaving out of his rendition of what happened at trial were and I'm not even sure I can count, 10, maybe more people who took that stand under oath and told the jury what the defendant said, what they heard him say about the kidnapping, rape, and murder of Holly Bobo. Katie Spirko inserted herself by Mr. Bates into this case back in January, I believe, when an affidavit or her curriculum vitae was filed with the court, a declaration by Dr. Katie Spirko. I'm a neuropsychologist. I've been asked by Mr. Bates to come in and look at this voluminous file and help the petitioner with false confessions. Here to help. Great. Well, then the next thing we hear is that Mr. Bates has growing concerns about Ms. Spirko and about the way she's going about her job. So he told the state of Tennessee, and told the court, I'm severing ties with her. Done. Had to find a new way to stay engaged in this case. Next thing we know, she is, and I get lost in the order because the horse that she's riding changes depending on who's winning at the time, who's running the fastest. I think the next way she shows up in this case was, oh yeah, you can't subpoena me because I'm an investigative journalist. I'm covered as an investigative journalist because I have a podcast. The state of Tennessee could not care less about what is said about this case outside the walls of this historic, beautiful courtroom. What the state has a responsibility to do is, first of all, protect the conviction from a jury of his peers of this convicted murderer, rapist, and kidnapper, and to bring to the court who is the distiller of truth, to bring to the court everything that is relevant for the decision that this court must make on this post-conviction petition.
Wyrick then turned her attention to Dr. Spirko, who's gone from an expert witness in the case, a neuropsychologist, to possibly an investigative journalist and podcaster. Nichols described her take on Dr. Spirko's recorded interview with Jason Autry.
She sends it to 2020, this conversation with Jason Autry. The state does not know if the court is going to allow that to be played. We filed a motion in limine that it is absolutely irrelevant, and there's no way it can come before this judge in the matters before the court today on this post-conviction, but the court has not ruled on that. And if that video is played for your honor, if that video becomes part of this record, it is vital that the state of Tennessee see her file. Because the state of Tennessee, as we have filed in our responses on this issue, knows that Jason Autry was doped up when he sat down for that little conversation with Katie Spirko. And we also know it came from revenge on his part. He told his mother, excuse my language, Your Honor, they're trying to f me in federal court, I'm going to f them in state court. That was the background of that video. The state has a right to know what that complete video contains because it's clearly edited. It's clearly edited, and we have a right to see it all. I forgive me, but my brain is not large enough to follow Mr. Bates' I don't know, proposal of us calling Katie Spirko to the stand, him declaring her an expert, but be that as it may, I would remind the court that originally, again, she came on the scene as an expert, as someone who the defense was going to call to the stand to testify. And in those situations, when that happens, we're entitled to see the expert's file, everything.
The judge then asked about Dr. Spirko's role in the case.
In what capacity is she serving? Is she a neuropsychologist? Is she an investigative journalist? Or is she an investigator?
She remains a neuropsychologist, agent of Zach Adams, who under my authority of the court's appointment, the statute says my job is to interview relevant witnesses. I would say Jason Autry was a pretty relevant witness to interview. I'd say Zach Adams was a pretty relevant witness to interview. That is the authority Dr. Spirko interviewed these people. But I didn't call her to do it because I thought she had a lot of free time. I called her because she's a neuropsychologist who could help tell me things that ordinary people couldn't.
So after this back and forth, the judge determined that Jason Autry's recorded statement to Dr. Spirko would not come in as a piece of evidence in this hearing. Then it was time for opening statements.
This is a legal nightmare. Innocent men, and Mr. Adams was found guilty in this court. This is the nightmare our system tries to prevent. Lawyers failed Mr. Adams. His defense, the prosecution, and at times the court, all of which the Constitution protects and preserves this final fail-safe to correct. We often think in criminal worlds that the Constitution allows guilty people to get out. We often don't think in terms of the Constitution protects the innocent from being wrongfully convicted.
the court has said before, and it is very true, a lot of these facts are interwoven in multiple issues. I will say some things are standalone issues, which are constitutional rights that were violated that are now known, that were not waived.
Prosecutor Wyrick gave the prosecution's opening statement saying the defense has nothing new.
Everybody that was out there will tell you mistakes were made. This was bigger than anything we had ever seen before. And the irony of it is how truly simple it really is. When you break away from all of the noise and all of the attempts of subterfuge and smoke and mirrors, because that's what this is based upon. Zach Adams stands before this court today presumed guilty. Guilty of murder in the first degree, guilty of kidnapping, and guilty of rape. And what this court is called upon to answer are two things. Were his lawyers deficient? His 3 lawyers, who among them had 100 years of experience, some of the best and brightest lawyers in the state of Tennessee, were they deficient? And if they were, and the state submits that there is no way that prong will be satisfied. If they were, for the sake of this interesting conversation that Mr. Bates wants to have, instead of a legal factual argument based on the laws and the rules, if they were deficient, what difference does it make? Would any of this new, what the defense wants to call new, evidence make a difference? State submits to Your Honor that you are not going to hear anything in the next days, weeks, months, however long it takes. You will not hear anything that jury didn't hear.
The first defense witness was former U.S. Marshal Joe Walker. He testified that he pinged Holly Bobo's cell phone several times and tried to tell investigators during the search they were looking in the wrong place.
The reason this was created is because for 8 months, while these individuals were in custody, for 8 months, they said that she was taken down and thrown in the river.
Who's they?
TBI.
Okay.
That she's taken down and thrown in the river. And I said, that is not accurate. That phone never went, there is a cell tower down by the river on the west bank, about a mile off the river. That phone never registered on that. So she never went down to the river at all. That's not true. And so if that went on for 8 months, and then her remains were found where I thought they were going to be found.
Let's stop there. When did you think her remains were going to be found?
Near we thought that in the very first part of the investigation.
Walker's testimony about the mapping and pings continued.
Because that's where I always wanted to look, with him and Terry Dykes near the freeway, because that's where this map led. That's where she should be. Okay?
In your work prior to the finding of the remains, did you discuss with anyone your belief that the remains were?
Yes, co-workers, friends, TBI agents.
What made you say the remains would be where they?
Because her phone tracks to the freeway, to the Shallow Road Tower. I think it's 109-6 of the tower, section 1. It tracks to there, and it spends about 25 minutes there. It gets there around 8:30, and it departs that area around right before 9 o'clock toward the Cox Road Tower. Her phone goes straight there and spends about 25 minutes there, and that's where her remains were found, in that cell section of the Shallow Road Tower.
Amy Wyrick cross-examined Walker, questioning his level of involvement in the case.
You retired in 21. You were taken off of the case in 2013.
No, I just had other duties. I was not taken off of the case.
Reassigned to other things.
I participated in the case as an assistant, and I was busy doing other things. Other things happened.
Okay. So in 2013, you're no longer involved in briefings on the Holly Bobo case.
Yes.
Yes, you were not, or yes, you were?
I was not.
Okay. So it's in your rear view mirror and you're moving on and working on other cases until the trial came up in 2017.
Yes.
Right, okay. Are you aware of the fact that new information came into the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation after 2013?
Am I aware? No. I was called a couple of times and asked some questions along the way by the investigators about people I've interviewed, but I was not working actively on the case.
No, but I know you weren't working on it, but are you aware that new information was made available, became known after 2013?
I was hearing rumors.
I'm sorry?
Rumors.
Okay.
About like how she was taken down to the river, rumors.
Okay,
Things
but
like
you
that.
weren't involved in any of that?
No.
Right.
And Prosecutor Wyrick then got Walker to admit that he believes another man murdered Holly Bobo.
Okay, then in the world that you're functioning in, it's your belief that Terry Britt, let's just say it, let's just bring it out. Terry Britt put that bullet in the back of her head. Is that your testimony? That's what you're gonna tell this judge?
I believe.
Answer my question.
Yes.
Your Honor, the witness is allowed.
Give him an opportunity to answer.
I do believe that.
That Terry Britt put a bullet in the back of her head.
Yes.
Okay, so when he did that, for this hypothetical scenario of yours, was her phone on her?
It was either on her or in his vehicle.
Okay. On her, still back in her pants pocket?
Well, since the phone traveled south, it was probably in the vehicle.
In the vehicle. Okay, which vehicle?
His small truck.
Okay. Are you aware that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation wired his home?
I'm aware.
All right. Cell phones, landlines, they were listening to everything.
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware, where was Terry Britt's phone that day?
Probably at home.
But you don't know.
It didn't register on the tower, so it didn't get any calls.
Where was Zach Adams' phone that day? Do you know?
I believe it is residence on the Cox Road Tower, from what I understand.
Okay. Where was Shane Austin's phone that day?
They were not near Holly's.
Really?
Yeah, I know that.
Where was Jason Autry's phone that
Not
day?
near Holly's.
Sir?
Not near Holly's.
And where was Dylan Adams' phone that day?
Not near Holly's.
And what are you basing those answers on?
Looking through the tower dumps, reading every single phone in the county. I mapped every phone on the AT&T and Verizon to match them to see if anybody's matched Holly's travel. And there was only one phone of a lady that lived up north near the freeway that semi-matched the route.
You got information from AT&T?
The tower dumps, I got them from Terry Dykus,
You got them from TBI?
TBI.
Walker said that Terry Britt actually made some admissions.
And so you're going to interview Terry Britt to get testimonial evidence or not to get testimonial evidence?
I'm just there to ask him if he wants to work out a deal with TBI. That's all. Does he want to talk to keep his wife from being charged with a criminal charge? That's all. Do you want to work out a deal with TBI? And he said, tell him what we know about him, see if he wants to work out a deal. And once I went through the details on what we knew about how he's involved in the case, he admitted to it.
He admitted to murdering Holly Bobo.
Yes. He said, it sounds like you got it figured out. I'll plead to 20 years. I don't want to die in jail, but I want to be in a different jail.
Could another interpretation of that be that he was being a smart aleck?
Your
No,
Honor,
no.
if the witness is not able to testify of his interpretation of Ms. Thompson's preparedness, the witness should not be able to testify to this. Or I would request leave to reinstitute on redirect the client's
You'll get an
interpretation.
opportunity to question him
Okay.
again.
No.
That there's no way that's a possibility. That he was just
I did not.
messing with you.
Nope, didn't pick up on that.
Okay, after your, what did you say, 5 previous experiences of taking statements?
I don't know how many I've taken over the years. I've taken quite a few. I spent 35 years in law enforcement.
Then Zach Adams' brother, Dylan Adams, took the stand.
Do you understand what the truth is?
Yes, sir.
What's your definition of the truth?
Telling the truth. I mean,
Okay.
no lies.
Okay.
No lies in it.
All right. If I told you I was in a green suit, would that be the truth?
No, you're not in a green suit.
All right. What if a bunch of people told you I was in a green suit? Would that make me in a green suit?
You understand the importance of the truth.
Yes, sir.
You understand the importance of telling the judge the truth.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand the court has given you the ability, if you don't like any of my questions, you can ask to speak to your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dylan Adams denied any involvement in the rape and murder of Holly Bobo.
Mr. Adams, do you remember the day Holly Bobo was abducted? April 13th, 2011.
Yes.
Now, did you have any part in the abduction, raping, or killing Miss Bobo?
No, sir.
Were you present when anything took place?
No, sir. I was nowhere around.
Where were you?
I was in town.
Okay.
Me and my brother was in town. We was getting gas and going somewhere. I can't remember exactly where we went, but we was somewhere in the middle of town.
Zach Adams' lawyer played the video from the BP that he said shows video of Dylan's truck at the time of Holly Bobo's murder. Investigators questioned Dylan Adams.
And do you remember being interviewed by law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember who?
It's TBI. I can't remember the name. Jeff Jackson, I think he was.
Do you remember whether they brought, whether you had an attorney there?
No, I did not have no attorney there.
Did they ask you questions?
Tons of them.
Okay. Did you tell them information that you thought your brother, Zach Adams, had a part in the abduction, raping, killing of Holly Bobo?
No. They assumed he did, but I didn't ever.
Did you pled out in that case, correct?
Yes, sir.
What was your sentencing hearing?
A year served, 2 years of federal probation.
Okay. Did you have any other special conditions about where you had to live?
No. They, after I got sentenced, they sent me to live with Dennis Benjamin.
Zach Adams testified that a man he stayed with asked him about Holly Bobo's murder a lot.
Did you at times tell him you didn't know anything?
I told him I didn't know nothing.
At some point, did that change?
Yes, after he kept pounding me.
And you told him what?
I said rape and abduction of Holly Bobo. That was a lie just to get him off my back.
Why did you want him off your back?
Because I got tired of questioning. I mean, I've already been through it for a year straight, and then constantly getting drilled about it every week. You get tired of getting hounded.
How did it make you feel?
I mean, can't explain how it made me feel. I mean, it just, I had no feeling, you know. I mean, I can't give them something that I don't know nothing about.
Then Douglas Bates played a police interview of Dylan Adams where he was questioned about Holly Bobo's disappearance.
Describe what was she doing, what did she look like, what was she wearing? Long pants on, pink shirt, plain shirt, that. Remember that? Okay. And long pants. Was her hair in any kind of, was it pulled back, down? Down. Was she fighting, kicking, screaming, or what was she wanting to say? They brought her into the house. What did she say? Why you doing this? Why me? Did she recognize you? No. Did she call Zach or Jason by name? You know, did it have anything to bind her, or was she free? She was free. She have shoes on? What kind of shoes?
No shoes on. When you hear that stuff. When she said it, why me?
They didn't say nothing. They didn't tell her. Okay. Where did they go? How did they get in the house?
They come into the front door, okay?
Did you guys door open for them?
Exactly, in the door open.
Who was controlling her?
Walking behind her.
They let her freestand. They weren't holding on.
No, they was holding on to her. Walking had her up.
Okay. Had her up. Describe what you mean. Go ahead.
You're not getting her.
Okay.
We got her in the house.
Can you understand her speech?
Better.
Did you said you remember the shirt. Has she been hurt? Did you see any injuries to her?
She looked like she been bleeding right now. She had total blood. Her eye looked like it. Black, nose swollen a little bit.
Okay.
And maybe even a little cut right there in her lip.
You remember it being on that side of her face?
I think.
So it's over here. This eye looked puffy and her nose.
And it looked puffy like.
This is what Dylan Adams said about the interview.
You went on to say that you said that Mr. Autry raped the victim 45 minutes, and then I believe you said Zach held you at gunpoint if you didn't rape the victim as well. You remember telling the TBI
I
that?
remember telling them that's all a lie.
And that Zach then raped. You remember telling that?
Yeah, I remember telling that, but
And that this took place, I believe you said that it was an all-night abduction. You remember saying that?
I don't remember saying that. I'm sure they put their own words, own spin to it.
That they left at night and came back in the morning, 9:30, 10 a.m.
Yep.
All right.
On cross-examination, the prosecutor played a number of jail calls between Dylan Adams and his mother. In one, Dylan tells his mother he saw Holly Bobo at Zach's house.
Hey, but I want to tell you this.
What?
I did see Holly in Zach's house. I mean, I'm not lying about that. I mean,
You seen her where?
at Zach's house. So what now? You there? Hello? Yes.
Sorry.
I said I've seen Holly at Zachary's house. I'm not lying about that. I wasn't involved in it. I mean,
Who was?
huh?
Who was?
Zachary and Wayne and Shane. I mean, I'm not, they come ask me about that and I'm not gonna lie to them about that. 'Cause I'm not gonna get in trouble. He's my brother. I love him, but I mean, I just can't lie about that.
Who say
Huh?
that?
What?
Say that. Who's making you say that?
Nobody's making me say it, Mother. I'm telling you from my own heart.
Amy Wyrick questioned Dylan Adams about his relationship with his brother and a possible motive to change his story.
Has he ever threatened to kill you?
We've had words, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, what?
We've had words, yes.
I didn't ask if you'd had words. Everybody has words with their siblings. Has he ever threatened to kill you?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Anytime we get into it. I
You
mean,
put a gun to your head after Karen Bobo came to the house to see y'all?
I don't remember. That's you looking over 11 years, ma'am.
Did he threaten to kill you the day after Holly Bobo was raped and kidnapped and murdered?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. If you told law enforcement that, would that have been accurate?
No, ma'am.
But you don't remember.
I don't remember.
The judge also heard testimony from retired investigator Brent Booth. He was questioned about Jason Autry's testimony in investigating Autry's claim about the sound that the gun made when Holly Bobo was killed.
Have you ever fired a .32 revolver under a bridge?
No, sir.
Did you ever independently corroborate whether it makes the sound Jason Autry said it made?
A test was done. I think I was present.
When?
After we learned of Jason Autry's information.
Was that video provided and disclosed to your knowledge?
I don't know.
It doesn't make a loud sound, does it?
Yes, it does. It's a gunshot.
Doesn't make a boom, boom, echoing sound, does it?
That depends on the time of day, humidity, temperature, depends on a lot of things.
How's humidity impacted?
Density of the air.
If it's more humid, more echo?
Less humid, less echo.
Okay.
Less humid, more echo. I got that backwards.
Say that again.
Less humidity, less moisture in the air, more echo.
Okay. Why is it that you know about this, but you've never Googled a .380 auto round diameter?
I'm a weather nut, I guess.
Okay.
Now, this hearing is far from over. It will continue at a later date, so stay tuned. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.